It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
By now, cars are on track. They are racing. There is on-track action at Lucas Oil Raceway. Welcome to WFO Radio NHRA Nitro Podcast. I'm Joe Costello. And for the 65th Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals, we are rolling out WFO Radio a little bit differently. It is our 10th anniversary. We've been going for 10 years, and always a massive show for Indy. But this year, we wanted to break the interviews up and allow you to share them. Maybe Stevie Fast Jackson is your favorite driver. Maybe he's the only guy you care about, period, end of story. Well, the good news is we have got Stevie Fast Jackson just moments away. Going to talk about trying to go back-to-back at the Big Go. Going to talk about trying to win that E3 Spark Plugs Pro Modified World Championship. And oh yes, I'm still going to ask Stevie about what's next. Like, could there be a little Nitro in your future? That is the question. Stick around for that. We've already had Jack Beckman and Erica Enders. Freiberger was awesome. Alan Reinhardt, of course. That's all in the archive. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, anywhere you get your podcast, you can find WFO Radio. We've got a free mobile app, of course. Wherever you get your podcast, you can find WFO Radio. Why? Because of a couple of great sponsors, great people who make it possible. Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Custom rings, whatever you got, they can make it. Not just the rings, the tools, right here in the United States of America. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. I think you need to drive a dragster. If you've never driven a dragster, engine behind the driver, that's what we're talking about here. It's a unique experience without the weight transfer. Go to frankhawley.com, find out more information. samtech.edu. We got a brand new factory stock podcast that is up. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leah is on there. Jason Line on there. Daryl Herron on there. Kurt Collins from Chevrolet is on there. We got great guests. And Brian Massengill, of course, who makes it possible. The bottom line, though, is we're driving young people who want to be involved in racing, and they're thinking to themselves, how do I be involved? How do I do what I love? To Samtech, because they can get an education and carry that through the rest of their lives. Samtech.edu. Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. Marvin Rodak. Hot sauces and spice rub. I know he is glued to his NHRA.TV while listening to WFO Radio Podcast. Hot sauces, everything that is great. Roasted fresh per your order. The drag racing themed coffee blends, though. That's what makes it unique and why you have to experience it. Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. MagicDryUS.com. is the official organic absorbent of the NHRA. But what does that mean? Whatever the size, whatever the spill, whatever the viscosity, they can clean it, they can fix it. Go to magicdryus.com to find out more. By the way, it is way lighter than the stuff you are probably using now. And Hangstafers Metalworking Lubricants, hangstafers.com. NHRA's top teams agree. Hangstafers Metalworking Lubricants help them out in the shop, help them get it done, keep their tools lasting longer, their surfaces better prepared. Hangstafers Metalworking Lubricants. See, now that wasn't bad. The sponsor change just takes a few seconds, but you got to know that these are the people who make it all possible. For me to speak with someone like this. Joining us now, he is the defending winner in the E3 Spark Plugs Pro Modified Eliminator at the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals. He is also the points leader. Stevie Fast Jackson joins us on WFO Podcast. Stevie, are you ready?
Joe, I am ready as I've ever been.
That is great to hear. That is great to hear. Now, there's a lot of ground we got to cover here because there was a rules change between the last Pro Mod race, which feels like it was 100 years ago. Certainly feels like a long time, which you guys had to kind of re-engineer a lot of aspects of your car, your power plant. Are you all set? Are you set to go for the stretch run?
The man is trying to keep me down. That's what's happening here. Outside forces are trying to take us out. I don't think that anyone will know if we're ready or not until after Q1. We tested a lot. We worked on a lot of engine stuff, spent a bunch of time on the dyno, but until you put that car on an NHRA prep racetrack under NHRA conditions with everyone else playing on the same playing field, you really don't know how you stack up. It definitely slowed us down in testing. I don't want to say that we're ready, but I think we're as ready as we can be.
Well, that is good. That's it. That's all you can ask. And, looking at the entry list, we've got over 25 cars, I think 26 cars at last I saw. But I want to take you back to last year's win, Stevie, because, you'd won a lot of big races. You've done a lot of great things. You've had a successful life where you kind of just climbing up the ladder through hard work and determination. And you showed up at Indy and you applied that. And, we told the story many times how, you're going into late qualifying sessions, not in there, and you broke through and you just willed it. It's almost as if you just willed it to happen. Take me back to that moment now, a year later. Is that, is that your greatest racing accomplishment to this point?
Absolutely. So far, that's as good as it gets. People think, we win it. We do a decent job at racing, and we win a lot. And a lot of people think that I'm smart. And let me go on record and say I'm not that smart. I just will outwork any human being on the planet, and I will wear you down and beat you into submission with hard work. And that's the only way I know how to do it. I'm surrounded by a lot of smart people. But going into Indy Q5 last year, I will be honest with you, it tested everything inside of me of why I want to do this. Like rolling into Q5, you got to realize we had just come off of 2 D&Qs in a row. And that's what, the Indy story is great, but put yourself in my position having never D&Q'd 2 races in a row. I'm sitting on the starting line with 2 bulbs lit. Q5, thinking, oh no, like I just saw this movie twice. I don't like this movie. We're about to D&Q 3 in a row. And we just never quit. I mean, we had some of the craziest mechanical failure that I've ever seen on a race car in the most opportune time. I mean, when's the last time someone had a sprag fail during qualifying at the U.S. Nationals? It just doesn't happen. Like when we show up, all that stuff's new, right? I mean, we don't under-prepare. So when you have just a crazy parts failure after another, had an engine throw the rods out when it went by the tree. I mean, just breaks the rod 50 feet into the run. Like, how does that even happen?
Right.
And you go out there, and when that kind of stuff happens, stacked up on the biggest stage in drag racing, it's very easy to get defeated. And although I didn't show it, I was defeated. We didn't work like it. We didn't act like it, and nobody knew it, and I sold it pretty good. But we were, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to get crushed. But my guys never give up. And they absolutely, like in the staging lanes in Q5, we're the first car down the track because we had the slowest race car at the track. And, I'm getting in the car and they're like, all right, all that other stuff's behind us. That stuff's done. Like, go out there and have fun, kid. Go out there and rip it. And, at the end of the run, I expected them to just be ecstatically crazy, and they come down there just like they expected it to happen. They're like, good job, let's go get ready for E1. And it hadn't crossed my mind that we had to race somebody in 2 hours. I mean, I'm sitting over there, and I'm like, oh, no, like now what we're going to do, we got to actually race somebody. So that was the lowest of lows followed by the highest of highs for sure.
Amazing story, but an Indy story. That's what the U.S. Nationals is all about. Stories like that, moments like that, you would go on to charge hard for the championship and come up a little bit short, but that determination is clearly spilled over into 2019, where you came out of the box strong and find yourself with a 133-point lead going into this race. But the way you like to do things, you like to crush people, right? I can't think of a better way to crush the field than to go out and win Indy and make it almost a non-conversation, given all that you've gone through over the past month.
My goal is to roll into Vegas with a 24-foot enclosed trailer, 10 gallons of fuel, a screwdriver, a sombrero, and a margarita machine, and that's how I want to end the season. I do not want to show up in Vegas and race for it. I absolutely want to come and suck the life out of them. This rule change is a big, big variable in our program. We have done a lot of blower R&D with the overdrive. I've never ran a supercharger at 14.5, but I don't know if we're there, and I won't know that we're there until Q1. But what I do promise you, and I promise all the fans out there, is no one will work harder to seal this deal. Like, I do not want to, oh, good job, we're going to go race for it next week. I want to leave Indy 11 rounds ahead, or 10 rounds ahead, as much as it can be, and that's the goal. I want to crush them. I want to crush their soul.
let's dive into the rules changes and why. I think it is significant for a lot of people. We cover on WFO, we try to cover everything as best as we can. And taking a deep dive into what happened and why they made the rules changes, I think is significant. So they took basically boost away from you and the turbo cars in hopes of making the nitrous cars a little more competitive. Is that at least what we think the theory of the move is?
It sounds like what the theory is, yes.
What's the reality from your perspective? And I know that, listen, no, it's very rare there's uniformity.
I think in 4 or 5 races, we'll sit back and talk about this and be like, wow, that was silly. The reality of it is, and anybody can argue this, and anybody that runs a car is going to be offended by what I say. But the reality of the situation is the supercharged combination is simply the most perfected combination there. And what I mean by that is it's been around the longest. It's had the most research and development. It's been ran by more people. It's been vetted longer. It is more refined, and we have to make perfect runs. The turbocharged and nitrous combination, everybody's like, oh, nitrous has been around for 1,000 years. Well, EFI nitrous racing has not been around for 1,000 years. And turbocharged racing hasn't been around for 1,000 years. And they're still uncovering these big chunks of ET that they just go out and find. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see the turbo cars step up from where they were before the rule changes. Now, when they take 3 pounds of boost away from them, absolutely that crushes them. They have far more tools to go find that power than supercharged combination. Nitrous cars, I've said this 1,000 times, I don't even think they're scratched the surface of what they'll run yet. I don't know why they run what they run now. But in any event, it's going to be exciting for the fans. I understand the mentality behind the rule change. I'm not against it. If you want to slow everybody down to the nitrous cars, then that's okay. I never want to be involved in making the rules. Sanctioning body can come up with whatever they think is best, and I'm going to bring my best horse out there to win. I can tune and run and drive any of them. So if it gets too lopsided, I'll swap up. I'm not married to anything.
There you go. Now, as far as testing, like I know you had to go out, like the work that went into it. Help us appreciate that. And you're going to represent, everybody's doing this as well. Like no one is just going to say, okay, and stand on what they have. They're all going to try to figure out the best way to conquer the new situation. And so what did you do? You had to acquire new parts, nose to tail.
Well, the first thing we did is we hauled our stuff to Chuck Ford Superchargers, where we get our superchargers, and put it on his dyno to get us a baseline. Then we put it at 14.5 and pulled it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not going to work. Like everybody's like, oh, it's 2% overdrive. Yeah, it's an automatic car that it killed it. So then we worked on the cylinder heads and worked on the camshafts and compression, and we ran about 2 or 3 sets of rods through that thing on the dyno and got it to make pretty good power on the dyno. I'm like, okay, I'm excited. Like we're ready, we're good. We're almost where we were. So then we take it out and we start testing it, and it won't fall off a cliff. It's just slow. So changes. I actually just got back this morning from a 5-day test session in Darlington, South Carolina. We've been testing for 5 days, trying to find some of this ET. There's a lot of work that goes behind a rule change like this. And not only that, but a tremendous amount of cost. For some, you get to stroke a pin and cover that cost. For me, it's harder than that. But every team out there had to do the same thing. It's not just me. If they're serious about winning, there was a lot of cars in Darlington with us testing. I know Virginia had a big test session last week where a lot of the turbos and nitrous cars went, and it's a big deal when they change the rules because you refine the package, and now all of that data, all of those superchargers, torque converters, all that's out the window. But same for everybody, and we'll see if we did our homework good in a few days.
That's exciting, though. That's an exciting. I wish you would not have had to go through all of that, but since you did, it's an exciting situation to know that all these teams are out there with almost a fresh tune-up to come out for the biggest race of the year.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. You can go test all you want to. You do not get to simulate NHRA testing conditions. So there will be a lot of teams that ran good in testing that come out Friday in Indy and don't do well. And there'll be a lot of teams that didn't do well in testing that come out and run good. And until we all get to the same racetrack on the same day in the same weather and prep, you really have no idea what everybody's running. I know some of the turbo cars ran spectacular in testing. I mean, faster than what we've ran ever at the old rule package. But, you just don't know what the track prep was. You don't know what the air was. You don't know if the clocks are right. The nitrous cars, absolutely flying, 203, 204 miles an hour to the 8, just blazing it down through there, enjoying life, and never taking the valve covers off. But then again, until you get everybody on the same track on the same day, you don't know what you got. So it's Friday. There will be no one more excited about seeing it than me. I'm looking forward to it.
I am excited about it. I'm excited to see you out there. The atmosphere at the U.S. Nationals, I'd like to hear you speak on that. I know you're a fan, and you've shared your stories of, kind of coming up and working your way into this lifestyle, but Indy as an event, every motorsport has got their premier event, and every sport has got their premier event. This is ours. Just speak on the atmosphere being out there, knowing everybody's got their own program going. Like, we got top sportsmen for the very first time. Those guys are going to try to win Indy. And I know they're excited about it. Like, everybody comes here for reasons of competition, but there's something extra in the air.
No, it's pressure. Like, when I roll in the gates there and you see how many race cars and people are there and how many people sit out half of the season to come run this race, you realize how hard it is to win. Everybody brings their whole kitchen sink to Indy. We do too. Like, it's the one that's on your bucket list that you want to win. And when you've won it, it's the one that's on a bucket list that means the most to you that you want to do again. There's nothing like, so far in my racing career, like winning that. We've won a lot of races in my lifetime, and I've done pretty good. But there's nothing like crossing the finish line in the final round at Indy, and know you just did what a lot of people will never get to do.
That is awesome to hear. Awesome to hear. All right, now I just like to keep up with your career aspirations. We know you're on a mission for the championship this year. Running a Nitro car at some point in your future life, is that still part of your program?
Absolutely. Definitely on the radar, definitely something I want to do. It's funny, I get asked this question a lot. My vision of what I thought it would be like has changed. The competition in Pro Mod and the people, the family that are NHRA Pro Mod, I love it. I am not interested in going to Nitro without a Pro Mod championship. I want that championship. When I go run Nitro, and I'm going to run Nitro, I'm not coming to be a field filler. I'm not coming to show up and qualify 15th. I'm not coming to get smashed in the first round and be a duck. When I get that thing going and when we pull the trigger on that and I can get some funding to do it, it's going to be top-notch equipment, and I'm coming to shake it up. I'm not coming to make friends. I'm coming to crush everybody.
I love hearing you say it, not as if, and that's why I asked you the question the way I did, not as if it's like a dream that might happen maybe someday, possibly. You've always given me the indication that it's on the timeline after a couple of things you got to handle first. And that's what you just said, and I love hearing that.
Yeah, I'm coming. And NHRA and the rest of the folks over there are not ready for me to be there, I assure you of that. But I'm coming.
Well, I love to hear it. Steve, thank you very much for coming on WFO Radio Podcast. Appreciate it. Your winner's interview last year sticks out in my mind, just like the joy, right? The overall, just putting it all out there for everyone to see, the accomplishment, the great success. I wish you good luck this year. Can't wait to get out there. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Steve Jackson with us here on WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro, our U.S. Nationals preview. Obviously, he's a rock star. He's got to win this Pro Mod championship, and he's got big plans ahead in his career, and I love hearing him talk about it. You know, you never know what lies on the horizon, and I know there are a lot of fans of many categories that don't want to see their drivers go to a different category. I totally get it. It's like Erica Enders running a Nitro funny car. We don't need to see that. Erica is great for Pro Stock, and Stevie is great for Pro Mod, But a long time ago, in one of our early on WFO radio interviews, he told me flat out that that's what he wants to do at some point in his career, but he's got a lot of unfinished business here in E3 Sparkplugs Pro Mod, and he's finishing that business. Oh, yes. We're going to find out this weekend. We are getting closer and closer to Nitro Primetime Friday night. Hopefully, you'll all be out there. I'm going to be out there at the facility. We got so many great things going on. Remember, if you want WFO Radio T-shirts, you can get them at the Nitro Fish trailer. Randy, Len, and Bo have got them in the trailer. Just go up there and ask for the WFO Radio T-shirt. They'll point you to, I think it's number 21. If you are not going to the event, you can get them online at nitrofishracing.com. That is great stuff. We've got so much rolling out. The new Factory Stock podcast, all these different interviews. Did you hear Freiberger? Freiberger was fantastic. You got to go back. You got to hear David Freiberger. You got to hear Erica. You got to hear them all. And a great way to do it, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the WFO Radio mobile application for iPhone, for Android. All right, you got it. Everybody's got it. I'm pushing a little too hard right now. But super stoked. We've got all kinds of great interviews still to come, including Robert Hite, John DeBartolomeo. But coming up next, you are going to hear Ed Federkyle and Hank Stewart, a combo. Ed Federkyle got E3 Sparkplugs on board, doing a great charitable tie-in for firefighters with his competition eliminator Dodge Avenger. It's got a 500 cubic inch Nickens motor, and it's got a shot to go number one qualifier. I'm telling you that right now. But Hank Stewart, the Stress Express super gas racer, probably on track. Just as you hear this, Hank Stewart is a yearly thing we do on WFO Radio. You're not going to want to miss it. So get ready for that next audio file. Be subscribed. And how about writing a review? That sounds like a great idea. It's the big go on WFO.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.
Oh, yeah.
Attention adrenaline junkies, Frank Hawley's Dragster Adventure is calling you. Rides available for the 2020 season. Go to frankhawley.com. They're coming to a track near you. It makes a great gift, and you know the holidays are coming, whether it be licensing for super comp, super gas, all the way up to top alcohol, they can do it. But if you're a drag racing fan and you've always imagined what it might be like to drive a dragster, to accelerate 0 to 60 in 3 seconds and run 10s in the quarter mile, give them a call. 866-480-7223, frankhawley.com, the Dragster Adventure, and tell them you heard it on WFO. You're working in the shop, you've got spills, you've spilled oil, it's everywhere. What are you going to do? I know what you're going to do, but that's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to go to magicdryus.com and order the official organic absorbent of the National Hot Rod Association, Magic Dry. It's lighter, it absorbs more, it's better for the environment. It's made out of coconut. It's made in America. magicdryus.com. They've got spill kits that include everything you need for a regular, normal household spill, all the way up to a large industrial spill. We always say, if you've got a cat, get Cat Spot. If you've got a shop, if you've got a factory, if you've got a spill, call Magic Dry. That's magicdryus.com.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Download for your mobile device. Win your way on the show. WFO.
This is WFO Radio.